We like our cats here in the Crow House. This is Stormageddon, Dark Lord of all, by the way. Alright, jump down, buddy. There you go. Now, I don't know if you've ever had to move to a new place. I've moved a couple of times in my life. Have you ever had to move with a pet? It's very different whether you're moving with a dog or a cat. Because your dog really doesn't care. Cats care. We moved one time from a house to a new one. It was about 3 miles away. We packed everything up. We got the cat. We got to the new house. We put down the cat. The cat immediately ran out the back door, raced the 3 miles back across town, meowed outside the old house till somebody opened the door. She ran down in the basement and hid under a shelf. They called us. We came and got the cat. We brought her back home. We set her down. She ran out the back door. She ran the 3 miles back across town until she got to the old house, meowed outside the back door until somebody let her in, and then she hid under a shelf. Over and over and over again. Somebody finally suggested that we put butter on the cat's paws, because the cat will lick the butter off and lick off the set of the old house. It didn't work. No, the cat simply developed a lifelong fascination with butter. And my mother spent the rest of its unnaturally long life trying to keep the cat off the counter. The same thing happened with the pioneers when they were coming across the prairies. See, if you're getting ready to load up your covered wagon and head for the west, your dog is terribly excited. He'll run alongside the wagon going, "Oh yeah, come on, let's go. Your cat will look at you from the old house and say, "Bye, good luck." And so as a result, as pioneers headed west, one thing they found themselves without was cats. In fact, way out in the Kansas Territory, there was an old settler named, Mrs. Crow, what was his name?
Gabe Slade.
Gabe Slade. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. His name was Gabe Slade. Now, Gabe, he made his living as a trader. He would trade this for that and that for these and these for those, and that's how he got things. Now, one evening, he was sitting in his little log cabin with his wife, Mrs. Gabe. And Mrs. Gabe, she looks at her husband and she says, "Gabe Slade, do you know what I wish? I wish we had us a cat. You know, a house just ain't a home if you ain't got a cat inside of it in order to keep it homey-like. There ain't nothing like having a cat sit on your lap of an evening and purr for you. And the mice in this house, Gabe Slade, I swear one of these days they're going to pick me up bodily and carry me out. I want a cat." You know, I was talking to Mrs. McGillicuddy the other day, and she said she wanted a cat too. And so did Mrs. Murgatroyd and Mrs. Thistlebottom. They all want cats. Now, this gave Gabe an idea. He thought to himself, "Man, if I could get me some cats. If I could get me some cats, imagine the things I could trade them for. But where am I going to get me some cats?" I got it. If I head back to the big city, why, there's all kinds of cats in the big city. I could get plenty and trade them all over the place. So Gabe hitched up his wagon. He put a couple of oxen on the front, and off they went across the prairie, bumping along, till he got to the railroad. He jumped on a train, and they rolled across the prairie, till they come to the river. He got on a steamboat on the Missouri River, and he headed downriver to St. Louis. And there at St. Louis, Gabe jumped off the boat. He got in a sack and headed off looking for cats. It was a big city. It didn't take very long to find him a cat. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Ooh, look at that. There's one. Meow, 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 meow. Well, before he knew it, he had 27, 28 cats in his bag. So he thought that would be enough for the first trip. He headed back to the boat. When he got there, he decanted his cats into a crate. And he says, "Okay, Captain, let's get out of here." And the boat headed upriver. And everything went fine for the first couple of hours. But then the sun started to go down. And as the sun got lower in the sky, the boat got slower in the water. Until when the sun disappeared below the horizon, the boat stopped. And Gabe looked at the captain. He says, "Captain, what's going on here? We got to keep going. I got cats. They're going to Kansas." And the captain says, "Well, now that's all right, Gabe Slade, but we just have to wait for the dogs to wake up." "Why do we have to wait for the dogs to wake up?" "Well, because, Gabe Slade, I steer my boat from dog to dog at night." What? Oh, Gabe Slade, I know every dog on this river. I know when this dog over here barks to turn a little bit this way, and when this dog barks to turn this way. You wait a little while, they'll wake up soon enough. But they didn't. It was a dark night. There was no moon to howl at. And they just sat there, dead in the water waiting. And Gabe Slade, he got more and more impatient. He says, Captain, we got to get this boat moving. I got cats. They're going to expire if we're not careful. Well, ain't nothing I can do about it till we wake up them dogs. Gabe got an idea. He ran over and got himself a fishing pole, and he put some worms on it, and Gabe Slade, what are you doing fishing at a time like this? Don't you know we got to figure out a way to wake up the dogs? Shh, Captain, I got an idea. And I got bite too. He reeled himself in a nice big fat river carp. And he walked that carp over to the crate full of cats. Now, I don't know about you, but my cats have been around all day and ain't nobody remembered to feed them. They set up to yowling. And as these cats yowled and yowled, well, it wasn't long before from off on the riverbank you heard, woof, 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 howr, hip, 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 howr, howr. And off went the boat. When they arrived at the railroad, Gabe Slade took his crate full of cats and he loaded it into a boxcar. He went up front and he rode in the engine with the engineer. And they were whirling across the prairie as fast as they could go. And all of a sudden the engineer, he looked out the window and he says, oh, saints preserve us, Gabe Slade, look up ahead. And Gabe looked out the other window. Oh my word, what is that? It's a whole gang of train robbers. We're going to have to stop the train. Oh, no, you don't, Captain. We got cats going to Kansas. You put this thing full steam ahead. And Gabe Slade, he reached over and he grabbed the lever and he pushed it to full steam ahead. And that train went barreling straight forward. Up ahead on the tracks, on either side, there was about 32 train robbers. They had a great big rope stretched out between them, ready to knock the engine right off the tracks. And they had that rope pulled straight and tight. And the train kept barreling straighter and straighter. And poor Gabe Slade was looking out the window like this, and the captain was going, ah! All of a sudden, the air was full of train robbers, going every which direction. And the train went flying straight on. And when they come to the end of the line, Gabe Slade unloaded his crate full of cats, and he put him into his wagon. And they went bumping off across the prairie. They spent the first night under the stars. In the morning, Gabe Slade woke up to a terrible, terrible shock. One of his oxen had died during the night. Now what am I going to do? How am I going to get home? Yeah, I mean, I can't go with one ox. The wagon will go in circles like this the whole time. It's not like I could hitch up the cats. No, it's a terrible idea. Oh. But then Gabe saw something. Off on a hillside, he saw a buffalo grazing. Now look at that. Huh. Buffalo's just a big ox. I bet if I could catch it, I could tame it up. So he got his lasso. Ha! Look at that! I got it by the horns! Ah! That buffalo, he yanked Gabe Slade off his feet and he dragged him back and forth across the prairie. They went straight off down one section. When he get to one end of the prairie, he turned around straight back across the other section. Over hills and down, they come across a creek where there was an old dead tree there. And Gabe, he wrapped the rope around it. And the buffalo pulled up with a roar. That buffalo pulled up that dead tree. And the top of it went straight down in the dirt. And as that buffalo pulled along, that tree was in the ground behind it, just tearing up the ground. It ran to one end of the prairie. It turned around, it ran to the other end, back and forth, for a good 5-6 hours. And by the time it was done, well, it had plowed up about 100 acres of really nice farmland. And when it had done that, it was tired out. And when it was tired out, it was tamed. And so Gabe hitched him up. And they headed back home. And when he got home to his little cabin, he gave Mrs. Gabe the first choice of cats. And she picked up a beautiful gray and white big boy cat that settled right down and started to purr. And then he traded cats all over the place for corn and seeds and all the supplies he needed. And that is how Gabe Slade brought cats to Kansas. And how he came to have a tame buffalo and 100 acres of very nicely plowed farmland. And that's the story. I found it in that same old elementary school reading book. I think it had been my dad's back in the 1950s. If you like that story, there'll be more to come. Thanks.